The silence was deafening as the holographic projection of humanity flickered weakly between the towering representatives of the Galactic Council. 12 species, each more technologically advanced than the last, stared down with a mixture of pity and contempt at the smallest, most insignificant member of their interstellar community. Humans, drawled Crixtal, the crystalline ambassador from the Andromeda Collective, his multifaceted body casting prismatic shadows across the chamber. Your continued presence in this council is charitable, at best. A ripple of condescending laughter spread through the assembled alien delegates. Humans had been nothing more than a cosmic joke for decades, a species so primitive that their inclusion in the Galactic Council seemed more like a bureaucratic error than a genuine recognition of their capabilities. Dr. Lena Reyes stood alone, representing Earth. Her dark eyes burned with an intensity that momentarily silenced the room. She was different from the diplomatic representatives who had come before her, no desperate pleading, no apologetic posture. Just a quiet, burning determination that seemed to pulse with an unspoken promise. Primitive, she said, her voice cutting through the chamber like a blade. We've heard that word so many times it's lost all meaning. The regulatory prefect of the Centauri Confederation leaned forward, his tentacles coiling with amusement. Your entire planetary defense system is laughable. Your fastest ships are generations behind our standard transport vessels. What could you possibly contribute to this council? Lena's lips curved into the smallest of smiles, a gesture so subtle that most of the alien delegates missed its significance. But not all of them. The elder representative from the quantum-aware Nexus race tilted his translucent head, detecting something beneath the surface. Some species, Lena responded, are best understood not by what they show, but by what they choose to hide. It was just a sentence. Just a moment. But something in her tone made the laughter die in the throats of the alien representatives. A challenge. A whisper of something unknown. Little did they know that beneath the Earth's surface, in a laboratory known only to a select few, a revolution was brewing. A technological breakthrough that would redefine everything they thought they knew about humanity. The Galactic Council meeting continued, the mockery resuming its usual cadence. But something had changed. A spark had been lit, invisible, yet undeniably present. Humanity was about to show the universe exactly what it meant to be underestimated. The underground laboratory hummed with a nervous energy that matched the rapid pulse of Dr. Lena Reyes' heartbeat. Quantum entanglement projectors lined the walls, their delicate crystalline structures casting prismatic reflections across surfaces that seemed to shimmer and bend at the edges of perception. 36 failed iterations, she muttered, reviewing the holographic data streams that danced around her workstation. Each failure was a lesson, each setback a challenge that only fueled her determination. The concept was deceptively simple yet monumentally complex: create a technological camouflage that didn't just hide a ship, but fundamentally altered its quantum signature. Traditional stealth technologies were child's play: radar-absorbing materials, thermal masking, electromagnetic disruption. What Lena was attempting was something entirely different. Her team consisted of only 3 others, brilliant misfits who had been rejected by mainstream scientific institutions. Dr. Wei Chang, a quantum physicist who had been laughed out of 3 different research universities. Dr. Anika Volkov, an engineer whose revolutionary ideas were considered too radical. And Michael Okoro, a computational genius who could see mathematical patterns where others saw only chaos. "We're close," Wei said, his fingers dancing across a holographic interface. "The quantum resonance is almost stable." Anika leaned in, her cybernetic eye scanning the molecular schematic. "Almost isn't good enough. We need absolute certainty." The military's initial response had been predictably bureaucratic. General Harrison had sat in their presentation room, his weathered face a mask of skepticism. "You're telling me you can make an entire warship invisible? Not just invisible to sensors, but truly non-existent to observation?" Lena had met his gaze without blinking. "Not non-existent. Quantum adaptive. The ship won't just be hidden, it will exist in a state of probabilistic uncertainty. The general had laughed. A harsh, dismissive sound that echoed the same mockery they'd experienced in the Galactic Council. Billions have been spent on stealth technology. What makes you think you can succeed where entire research divisions have failed? Because we're not trying to hide, Lena had responded. We're trying to fundamentally rewrite the rules of observation. Now, weeks later, the breakthrough was tantalizingly close. The current prototype was a scaled-down version, a probe no larger than a basketball, designed to test the quantum camouflage principles. Michael's fingers flew across the console. Quantum entanglement at 98.7% stability. Probabilistic mapping is holding. A sudden alarm blared. Warning lights flashed red across the laboratory. Containment breach. Anika shouted. The probe began to shimmer, its molecular structure becoming increasingly unstable. Years of work threatened to dissolve in moments of catastrophic failure. Lena's mind raced. This was the moment that defined innovators, not the successful moments, but the critical seconds when everything could be lost. Quantum stabilization sequence, she commanded, her voice cutting through the chaos. Now. The probe vibrated, reality itself seeming to bend around its surface. For a moment, it looked like it would tear itself apart, or worse, create a quantum cascade that could destroy the entire laboratory. Then, silence. The probe remained. But something had changed. It was no longer just visible or invisible. It was possible. And in that possibility lay humanity's greatest weapon. The Centauri Confederation's warfleet emerged from quantum slip space like a metallic nightmare. 17 massive battlecruisers, each capable of reducing an entire planetary ecosystem to radioactive dust in moments. Their target, the outer human colony of New Hope, a struggling settlement of 50,000 colonists who had dared to establish a foothold in what the Centauri considered their exclusive territorial expansion zone. In the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountain complex, Dr. Lena Reyes stood rigid, her hands clasped behind her back. The holographic display showed the approaching fleet with cold precision, each ship a predator, each moment bringing certain destruction closer to the defenseless human colony. Quantum camouflage system is at full readiness, Michael Okoro reported, his voice tight with a mixture of excitement and terror. The team had spent 18 months preparing for this moment. Their theoretical breakthrough would now face its first true test. General Harrison, who had once laughed at their proposal, now watched with a predatory intensity. His weathered face was a map of skepticism and desperate hope. "Activate the Phantom Protocol," Lena commanded. The room went silent. At the edge of the solar system, something impossible happened. The UHS Prometheus, humanity's first quantum camouflage warship, shimmered into existence. But existence was too strong a word. It was more like a probability, a suggestion of a vessel that could be present or absent depending on the observer's quantum perspective. Centauri long-range sensors flickered. Computational systems began to crash, overwhelmed by data that made no logical sense. The ship wasn't just invisible, it was fundamentally undetectable, existing in a state of quantum uncertainty that defied traditional observation. Inside the Prometheus, Dr. Wei Chang monitored the quantum stabilization systems. Quantum signature is holding at 99.6% uncertainty threshold, he reported. We're basically a mathematical possibility right now. The Centauri fleet continued its approach, unaware that humanity's first line of defense was already among them. Lena's voice was calm, almost ethereal. Target their lead battlecruiser. Quantum disruptive sequence. Michael's fingers danced across the holographic interface. Initiating quantum cascade. On the Centauri flagship, systems began to fail in ways that defied explanation. Quantum entanglement generators went into cascading failure. Weapon systems became unreliable. Navigation computers produced nonsensical data. The first hint of panic spread through the alien fleet. "What's happening?" the Centauri fleet commander demanded, his tentacles writhing in confusion. A junior officer's response was barely a whisper. I don't know. It's like reality itself is becoming unstable." The Prometheus was everywhere and nowhere. A weapon that was not a weapon. A ship that was not a ship. Humanity's first true technological miracle was unfolding. As the Centauri fleet began to break formation, General Harrison leaned close to Lena. "Explain what's happening," he demanded. Lena's smile was razor-thin. "We're not destroying their ships. We're making them question the very nature of their existence." The quantum cascade continued. The Centauri fleet's computational systems began to collapse. Navigation became impossible. Communication channels dissolved into mathematical nonsense. 50,000 human lives were saved by a technology that wasn't even supposed to be possible. And in that moment, the universe learned a critical lesson about humanity. Never underestimate a species with nothing to lose, and everything to prove. The aftermath of the Centauri encounter sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. What had begun as a routine territorial dispute had transformed into something far more significant, a complete rewriting of technological expectations. Dr. Lena Reyes found herself summoned to an emergency hearing, not as a marginalized representative, but as the center of unprecedented attention. The holographic chamber that had once mocked humanity now buzzed with a mixture of fear, curiosity, and barely contained panic. "Explain," demanded Crixtal, the crystalline ambassador whose condescension had been replaced by a fragile attempt to maintain composure. "How is this possible?" Lena stood alone, a solitary figure representing an entire species that had just rewritten the rules of galactic warfare. "Quantum uncertainty is not a weakness," she began. "It's a state of infinite potential." The Nexus representative, the same elder who had detected something unique during her previous appearance, leaned forward with heightened interest. His translucent form seemed to flicker between multiple states of existence, a fitting audience for her explanation. Intelligence reports were flooding in from across the galaxy. The Centauri fleet that had threatened the New Hope colony had been rendered completely inoperable. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Simply, uncertain. Military analysts from various species struggled to comprehend the technology. Traditional weapons, sensor systems, and strategic models became obsolete in an instant. The Prometheus had not fired a single conventional weapon. It had simply existed in a way that made existence itself problematic for its targets. "We didn't create a weapon," Lena explained, her voice cutting through the chamber's tension. "We created a new understanding of reality." Behind the scenes, Dr. Wei Chang and Anika Volkov worked tirelessly to understand the full implications of their breakthrough. The quantum camouflage was more than a technological innovation, it was a fundamental reimagining of observation and interaction. Michael Okoro's computational models suggested that the technology could be applied far beyond military applications. Quantum healthcare, adaptive infrastructure, communication systems that could transmit information across impossible distances, the potential was literally boundless. But not everyone was celebrating. General Harrison pulled Lena aside during a brief recess. "The military wants to weaponize this immediately," he warned. "And the political fallout could be catastrophic." The Galactic Council was in chaos. Some species demanded immediate sanctions against humanity. Others wanted to study the technology. A few, the more visionary representatives, recognized that everything had changed. The Nexus Elder approached Lena, his form shifting like living light. "You have introduced a concept that challenges the very foundation of our understanding," he said. "Quantum uncertainty as a state of active potential, rather than a limitation." A message arrived from the New Hope colony. 50,000 lives had been saved. Not through destruction, but through a technology that made destruction itself impossible. Lena understood the true power of their discovery. It wasn't about creating a better weapon. It was about creating a new way of thinking. As the Galactic Council descended into heated debate, one thing became crystal clear. Humanity was no longer the species to be overlooked. They were the species that would redefine possibility itself. 37 days after the New Hope incident, the galaxy held its breath. Diplomatic channels erupted with unprecedented activity. The quantum uncertainty principle, as humanity's breakthrough was now called, had become the most discussed topic across interstellar communication networks. Entire civilizations scrambled to understand a technology that defied their most fundamental scientific paradigms. Dr. Lena Reyes found herself at the center of a storm she had never anticipated. Intelligence agencies from multiple species attempted to infiltrate her research team. Diplomatic envoys oscillated between threats and desperate negotiations. The quantum camouflage technology represented more than a military advantage. It was a complete paradigm shift. "We're not selling," Lena told the Andromeda Collective's lead negotiator, a serpentine diplomat whose scales shifted color with each emotional fluctuation. "This isn't a weapon to be traded. It's a scientific breakthrough." But scientific breakthroughs were never just about science. In a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountain complex, Dr. Wei Chang discovered something unexpected. The quantum camouflage technology wasn't just a method of hiding or distorting reality, it was a window into understanding reality itself. "The implications are staggering," Wei explained to Anika Volkov, holographic models dancing around them. "We're not just creating uncertainty. We're revealing the fundamental malleability of existence." Political tensions mounted. The Centauri Confederation, humiliated by the New Hope incident, began mobilizing resources for what many feared would be a retaliatory strike. But how do you strike an enemy that might not even exist in a conventional sense? Michael Okoro's computational models revealed something even more disturbing. The quantum camouflage technology could potentially be used to manipulate not just physical observation, but memory, perception, even the very fabric of recorded history. "We've opened a Pandora's box," Michael warned during a classified briefing. "This isn't just about hiding ships anymore. We're talking about the potential to rewrite reality itself." General Harrison saw the military potential. The political establishment saw a potential diplomatic nightmare. But Lena understood something deeper. This was humanity's true first step into a larger universe. A communication arrived from the Nexus representative, the only alien species that seemed to truly comprehend the magnitude of their discovery. The message was cryptic, written in a language that seemed to exist between mathematical equations and poetry. "You have not created a technology. You have revealed a fundamental truth about existence. Uncertainty is not weakness. Uncertainty is potential." Covert operations began. Multiple galactic powers attempted to steal or replicate the technology. Research teams were infiltrated. Quantum encryption became a new form of warfare. But humanity had learned something crucial in those 37 days. They were no longer the species to be overlooked. They were the species that could change the very rules of engagement. The galaxy was changing. And humanity was leading the transformation. One quantum probability at a time. The Void Collective emerged from the dark spaces between galactic sectors, a civilization so ancient and technologically advanced that most species considered them more myth than reality. Where the Centauri had been predatory, the Void Collective was something far more terrifying, a species that viewed all other life as nothing more than a computational problem to be solved. Their arrival came without warning. 300 planet-sized computational structures began systematically dismantling entire star systems. Not destroying them. Deconstructing them. Converting matter into pure information, erasing entire civilizations with a clinical precision that made previous galactic conflicts look like children's disputes. The Galactic Council collapsed in the face of this existential threat. Humanity was given an ultimatum: surrender the quantum camouflage technology or be eliminated along with every other species. In the underground command center, Dr. Lena Reyes realized this was the moment everything they had worked for would be tested. "We're not just fighting for humanity," she told her team. "We're fighting for the concept of individual existence." The UHS Prometheus would be their only hope. But this was beyond anything they had ever conceived. The Void Collective's computational power could analyze and predict potential realities with such precision that traditional quantum uncertainty would be meaningless. Dr. Wei Chang worked frantically, pushing the quantum camouflage technology beyond its known limits. "We need to create a state of uncertainty so complex that it becomes impossible to predict," he muttered, lines of impossible mathematics flowing around him like living code. Anika Volkov integrated her most radical computational designs. "We're not just hiding," she explained to Michael Okoro. "We're creating a quantum signature that's simultaneously everywhere and nowhere, that changes its fundamental nature with each observation." The Void Collective's first wave approached the solar system. Computational structures that could deconstruct entire planetary systems in moments. Each structure was larger than most inhabited worlds, capable of processing more information in a microsecond than most species could in millennia. General Harrison looked at Lena. No words were necessary. This was humanity's final stand. "Activate the quantum resonance protocol," Lena commanded. The Prometheus began to change. Not just become invisible. Not just exist in multiple states. But become something that defied the very concept of existence. A ship that was a probability. A weapon that was a mathematical concept. A defense that was more philosophy than technology. The Void Collective's computational structures began to falter. Their predictive algorithms encountered something impossible, a state of being that could not be analyzed, could not be understood, could not be defeated. For the first time in their existence, the Void Collective encountered a fundamental uncertainty they could not resolve. Humanity's greatest weapon was not a technology. It was the ability to imagine beyond the boundaries of what was considered possible. In the aftermath, silence became humanity's most profound statement. The Void Collective's computational structures hung motionless, suspended in a state between existence and non-existence. Not destroyed. Not defeated. Simply, transformed. Dr. Lena Reyes stood before the reassembled Galactic Council, no longer the marginalized representative, but the architect of a new understanding of reality. The chamber that had once mocked humanity now listened with a reverence born of humility. "We didn't win through destruction," she explained, her voice calm and measured. "We won by embracing uncertainty." The quantum camouflage technology had become more than a weapon. It was a philosophical breakthrough that challenged the most fundamental assumptions about existence, observation, and potential. Dr. Wei Chang's research revealed the deeper truth. The technology wasn't about hiding or fighting. It was about understanding that possibility itself was the most powerful state of being. Every moment contained infinite potential, a concept humanity had always intuitively understood, but which now became a scientific reality. The Nexus representative, whose translucent form had always hinted at a deeper understanding, approached Lena. "You have shown us that weakness is often just a failure of imagination," he said. "Uncertainty is not something to fear. It is something to explore." In the months that followed, the quantum breakthrough transformed multiple aspects of galactic civilization. Medical technologies that could heal by understanding the probabilistic nature of cellular existence. Communication systems that transcended traditional limitations. Architectural designs that could adapt to environmental changes with unprecedented flexibility. Michael Okoro reflected on their journey during a quiet moment in the laboratory. "We didn't just create a technology, he told Anika Volkov. We proved that being underestimated is sometimes the greatest advantage. General Harrison, who had once laughed at their proposals, now understood the true nature of innovation. It wasn't about having the most resources. It was about having the courage to see beyond current limitations. The story of humanity's quantum breakthrough became a fundamental lesson across multiple civilizations. Not a tale of military triumph, but a narrative of perspective, of understanding that what seems impossible is often just a failure of imagination. Lena thought back to that first Galactic Council meeting. The mockery. The dismissal. The moment when everything seemed impossible. Potential, she would later write in her groundbreaking research, is not defined by what others believe you can do. It is defined by your willingness to challenge those beliefs. The universe had learned something crucial about humanity. They were not a species to be overlooked or underestimated. They were a species of infinite possibility. As the first quantum adaptive ships began to explore regions of space previously considered unreachable, humanity's true journey was just beginning. A final lesson echoed through the stars: true innovation is not about having the most advanced technology. It's about having the courage to imagine beyond the boundaries of what is known. And in that imagination lies humanity's greatest strength.